Today we're going to have a look at changing these hubcaps on the front so you can check the oil level properly in your front hubs, and changing the wheel studs for aluminum wheels. Let's have a look. Okay, we're back here now. I have the bus already jacked up with a 12-ton bottle jack underneath the middle of the axle, front axle. Let's go to the back here. One important thing to do is wheel chocks on the back wheel so the bus cannot roll. Have the park brake set as well. I know that's redundant, but safety is extremely important. You can see the bottle jack right there underneath the axle. I already have a safety stand in here as well. It's jacked up just enough that the tire is off the ground. You can spin it. So I will set you guys down and we will get this tire off. Safety gloves, 33mm socket. I've already had these off of here. This is a 33mm socket. It's just a 1/2 inch impact, but it works just fine because these are not torqued up yet. So let's just take these. Again, these are torqued to 450 foot-pounds when you reinstall it, so you're going to need some kind of power to get them loosened, to get them off to begin with. There you can see the tires off. You can see in there. Yes, let's go a little closer now. Over here. There's the bottle jack under the axle. Safety stand. I always like to have two means of support when you're jacking something up, and if you have no reason to go under there, don't go under there. You can see quite a bit from just looking from out here. That's what the front hubs look like. This one is used, obviously. This has disc brakes on it, does not have air brakes. You want to look for, while you're here, look for a ridge on the edge of the brake rotor. You can also look down in here and look at the pad depth right here. These are the brake pads. See them right, there's one right there, and there's another one down in there. You can't really see it. These are the brake calipers. There's pistons in here that squeeze the brake pads together and squeeze the rotor. That's what applies the stopping force. There's a grease nipple right there, top of the kingpin. Should be another one down there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it, but it is there. Yeah, while you're in here, just have a general look around. See if you can see things rubbing or something leaking. Something that appears out of place. Okay, back to this job. These hubcaps. I went here first. Right here is the minimum level. Right there is the maximum level. Has a sight plug here. Right here is where you can put the oil in as well as drain it. Just take this plug out. You can put a new oil in here. Spin it over to the bottom. You can drain the oil. Just a little funnel or something to capture that oil. when you're changing this hubcap, it says right there, torque to 12 to 15 foot-pounds. These are just 5/16 bolts, so you don't have to overly extremely tighten them. There's a paper gasket between this hub and the flange. And mainly you want to change it because sometimes they get old like this. Well, I guess obviously they get old like this, but this one was leaking out the center cap here. You can see somebody put silicone on it. So these are pretty inexpensive, so they're easy to replace, and installing new oil in the hub there is probably not a bad thing to do anyway. It doesn't take very much oil. It's easy to do. You can see they have a little steel sleeve there, so you're not going to hurt this thing when you tighten it. 6 bolts holding it on. Comes with new hardware. Comes with the new cap. This one, part number is right there. CR 1643. So all you do is you drain the oil out here, right? When the oil's finished draining, undo these 6 bolts, take this hub off, clean the gasket off the hub there, put the new stuff back on, tighten it up, put the hubcap so that the fill is right there, fill it up to the maximum level right there, and you'll have to spin it a couple times, make sure the bearings all have oil, and then just let it sit for whatever, a day, half a day. Oil will settle and it'll probably be a little bit low, so you'll need to top it up once more, probably once more, maybe twice more, depending on how good you are with your guessing of oil capacity. And that's it for the hubcap. Pretty easy, and it's somewhat important that the oil is at the proper level there, which if your hubs are painted and someone else had the bus, and you're not going to even know there's oil in there. So it's a good thing to do. Oh, I'm going to set you back down over here. These wheel studs, because I changed from steel wheels to aluminum wheels, the steel wheels are 1/4 inch thick in here, right there. These wheels are 3/4 of an inch thick, so they may need longer studs in your application. Mine did. What I did was I phoned Freightliner, gave them my serial number. They looked up the specs on the bus, told me what I had for wheel studs, and recommended what I replaced them with aluminum wheels, and that's what I did. This is what the studs look like. You can see they're splined there. What they do, these just press out of the hub here, right? So just get a sledgehammer or something and tap them out, something kind of nicely. You don't want to wreck the end of the threads, so you can just tap this out like that, right? And it falls out. Get the longer stud. You can see how much longer these ones are. These are a little bit too long for this application, but they still work with the chrome caps that cover the nuts. So you just put this back in the hole here. If this one was out, put it in the hole. Turn it a little bit so that these splines re-engage with the old splines in the hub. And then you can, let's go closer over here and have a look. There. And to reinstall the studs, to get them all the way in there, they don't just slide in there, they're pressed in. What I did was I put these spacers on here, and then one of these nuts, tighten the nut all the way up. Good thing about doing it this way is it pulls the new stud straight straight into the hub here. You can see that. So by installing these and tightening up this nut, it'll pull this stud into the hub, re-engaged in where these splines are. And when you get to the very end, I like to give this just a tap with the hammer to make sure that it's fully seated right there. You'll hear the noise change if you're tapping on here and it sounds more metallic. It'll be seated. And just tighten this up and draw the wheel stud all the way in. They go pretty easy. The only down thing is I had to change all mine, so that's 10, 20, 30, 40 studs. The back ones are very similar, except they're longer because there's 2 wheels on there. Take these off. Well, the oil in the hub is gear oil, so look in your specs somewhere up. I don't know if it's 8090 or 85-140 oil for your application. Might depend on temperature and where you live and what kind of conditions you're in, but I just put 8090 in mine. And like I said, it doesn't take very much oil. Good thing to do though, because wrecking a wheel bearing going down the road is not something you want to do. A little bit of maintenance is good. So that's it for this. You just put the wheel back on, torque the wheels, the nuts to 450 foot-pounds, which is fairly snug. If you don't have the means to tighten it to 450, I'd recommend going to a tire shop and getting them to do it. Make sure it's done properly. They'll have the tools to do that. If you can't tackle changing the wheel studs or doing any of this, then get a mechanic or a shop to accomplish this for you. But at least you know what's in here, what to look for, and you know there's oil in this hub now. So I'll just put the wheel back on here. And we'll see what goes here. Yeah. I know we didn't physically do anything here, but I think this is a little bit of information that people should know about. Be a little finicky because they are heavy, but it'll go. There it goes. These being new studs, they're already cleaned. I've cleaned up all these wheel nuts again. These wheels are pilot centered, which means that this inner hub here is what centers the wheel on the hub, this inner hole. Some of them are stud centric, which means that these bolts or these nuts go into a tapered hole in the wheel, and that's what centers them. Start at the bottom. There you go. I'm going to let it down a little bit. I'll just tighten these up with a bigger wrench. I don't have a 450 foot-pound torque wrench to finish this, so once I get on the road here, we'll go to the tire shop, we'll get them to balance the tires, and we'll get them to tighten up these wheel nuts to 450 foot-pounds. Well, I hope this helped you, and a little bit of information for some people, I hope. So we'll see you next time.